What can you do if you live in Italy, so you have now your resident permit, you are legally entitled to stay in Italy, living here long term, and if you want to bring with you your family members, how you can proceed, what are the process, what the immigration law says about that. Today we will talk about this process, the so-called family reunification process, which is really interesting because we generally focus on the application for the main applicant, but what happened to the spouse, what happened to children, what if you want to come here with your entire family. As always, this is Marco Barzani, thank you for your time and do not lose any more time. Let's start. So let's start from the beginning, just to better understand the basic rules, the requirements, and how the process works. Let's make an example. We have an applicant, so the client that applied for a visa. The client wants to retire in Italy, so apply, for example, for the retirement visa for Italy, the so-called elective residency visa, or applied for investor visa. The client applied and got a visa. So the client entered Italy, applied for the resident permit, and the client got the resident permit. So the client is legally entitled to stay in Italy and live in Italy for the entire duration of the resident permit. In that moment, the client says, okay, I want that my spouse that is still in the US, for example, or another countries is the same. I want my spouse, my partner to come in Italy. What we can do, is that possible? Yes, it's possible. Of course, if we are talking about the spouse, generally speaking, is not a big problem, there are no limitations. The Italian law says that into the concept is to the family group, we can consider for sure the spouse, the other spouse, minor children, and we can also consider under certain exceptional circumstances the adult children and parents, old parents. So the main categories are spouse and minor children. In our example, we have the spouse. In this case, the applicant has to file the application for the so-called family reunification process. Of course, we'll provide all the documentation proving that he has the right to stay in Italy, about his financial situation, about all his position in Italy, and the fact that he wants to sponsor his spouse or her spouse to come in Italy living here together. This is a process that must be handled in Italy. So when you have a person, the spouse, that is already an Italian resident, already with a resident permit, so with already the right to stay here, living here long term. So this is very important. It's not a process that you can do abroad. You have the process that you have to do here because you are sponsoring your spouse to come here. The process is a pretty bureaucratic process. It's not so straightforward. There are a lot of documents that must be processed. And the good thing is that you can file your formal application, can be filed online. There's a specific portal through the Ministry of Internal Affairs that allow you to file your application, so you can scan all the documents needed and then you can file online your application. After you file the application and you receive your protocol number, the receipt that your application is accepted, then you have to wait for an appointment date. You will be called by the local immigration office to come in person and bring the hard copies of the documents you scanned. Then they will double check all the documents, and you will double check everything is in order, and they can give you an approval that is called in Italian language as nulla osta. Technical name is nulla osta. This approval, this nulla osta, will be then notified by the Italian offices to the local Italian consulate where your spouse is living. So, for example, if your spouse is living in Florida, the notification will be done to the Italian consulate in Miami, which is the jurisdiction for all the state of Florida, and then your spouse will be called for a visa. So they will give her a family visa, so she can enter Italy with a family visa, and so having a resident permit for family reason. If you plan to ask for the reunification, your family members to file it as soon as possible, because it's a long process. On average, it takes not less than 6 months. There is also a huge backlog through the immigration offices, so it's important to file the application as soon as possible. So as soon as you have your resident permit, so you are you finalize your paperwork in Italy as a new resident. As always, if you need some assistance, something you want to ask, or if you need a consultation, you can contact us. So you can also book a consultation online. If you have to ask information, if you want to have questions you want to share with us, you can always also leave comments below. Thank you so much for your time and see you on the next videos.